I'm putting my extremely profoundly disabled 7-year-old into a residential facility so I can forget he exists. I'm not sorry. I can't tell anyone this, even my therapist. Lambast me if you want to, and maybe I even deserve it. I only ask what you would do if you were in my situation, not what you think people should do, what you would really do. I'm a single mom of 2 boys, 12 and 7. My husband passed away 3 years ago in a work accident. A very large portion of me believe it was a suicide. I can't see him ever making the mistake he made that caused his death, and he had taken an action just before that which ensured his coworkers weren't in the room. I fully believe he killed himself because of our younger son, and no one will ever change my mind. We were told when I was pregnant that he would have Down syndrome. We could handle that, even if it was severe. It turned out he has a chromosome deletion. His disorder is kind of rare, so I won't post which specific one, but suffice to say he'll never be anything more than he is now or has ever been. And what he is nothing. He doesn't appear to have any awareness and never has. His ears are locked in one position. He doesn't respond to noise, touch, or pain. He is total care. He is capable of nothing. He is tube-fed and on oxygen. He is in diapers and will be forever. He makes no sounds, no attempts to communicate. He never even really cried as a baby. He has never made an attempt to interact with anyone or his environment. I'm not upset because I got a special needs imperfect child. I feel the way I feel because this thing takes up 200% of my time and does nothing. I didn't get an imperfect child. I didn't get a child. I don't love him. He doesn't have any personality. There is nothing to love. And yet I'm responsible for him. In addition to his extreme delays, he's also medically fragile, respiratory crises, fecal impactions, his autonomic nervous system doesn't function properly, issues with his G-tube, infections, pressure sores no matter what we put him on or how we position him.
Even one with severe impairments for that reason. With disability can come gifts. This boy is not a gift. He's a genetic mistake I probably should have miscarried and would have definitely terminated if I'd known he would be like this. And the flip side is, if he has awareness, he's miserable. And there is nothing I can do. If he has likes and dislikes, no one knows what they are. If he is in pain, he can't tell anyone. If he wants anything, he can't communicate. He's had every imaginable therapy. Nothing has made a difference. And so he's leaving our home on the 29th. I feel excited and relieved and then guilty because I know we'll be happier with him gone. He's already taken my husband and my son's father. He was working so much OT to pay for the cucumber's care. For the experimental therapies insurance wouldn't cover. Because this one was going to be the breakthrough. He was tired and defeated and disappointed. He sought counseling as well, but I don't think he could ever say the words "I don't want my son in my home" either. He's ruined my older son. I was so wrapped up on the younger I never realized how ignored and damaged he was. He lost his father too. I didn't just lose my husband. He's my priority now, and this malignant lump can be someone else's problem. At least they'll be paid a wage to care for him. At least they'll get a break from him when they punch out. I just want to never think of him again, and I'm not sorry. And for that, I'm sorry.
Our older son has suffered because his non-existent brother has colored everything in his life. He's had medical care get delayed because there's only one of me, and host brother is more critical. We do have a visiting home nurse, but only 20 hours a week, and we aren't eligible for more. I was starting law school. I gave up my dreams and my plan for my children for this potato. My older son can't do a lot of things he wants to do because of the younger's need for care and appointments. The final straw was, I heard a sound. I went into younger son's room to check, thinking he had forgotten how to breathe again, and saw older son hitting him and screaming, "You're why I don't have a mother. You're why I don't have a father. You're why I can't have friends over. You're why I can't be in sports. I didn't ask for you, and I hope you die." Instead of being horrified, I watched. And younger son just did, not react. No signs of pain or fear or upset. No reaction at all. He breathes, but he is not alive. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know who older son is. He has no sense of self, life experience, or awareness of his surroundings. He doesn't need to be in my home. He doesn't know or care where he is. He is genetically my son, but he is not family. My previously abused, brain-damaged cat, who can't walk straight, has more personality and is far more lovable than my child. In fact, I was looking forward to raising a Downs baby.
My little cousin cracked my iPhone XS Max screen, made my aunt pay $329, knowing I have Apple Care, and it only cost me $29. My little cousins are the biggest shits in the world, and my aunt pretty much lets them do whatever they want without consequence. They were playing, and knocked my phone off the counter, shattering the screen. My closest Apple store is about 2 hours away, and it's a huge inconvenience for me to drive there, not to mention the extra gas. So instead of explaining this to her, she's the kind of person who doesn't care about things that don't affect her directly. I told her it was $329 to fix, which is true if I didn't have Apple Care. She wrote me a check for $329, and I only had to pay $29, and I pocketed the extra $300. I consider that my non-disclosed inconvenience fee. Was I wrong to do this? I run a fake restaurant on a delivery app. I registered a company, bought all the takeaway boxes from Amazon, signed up for a few delivery apps, made a few social media accounts, and printed leaflets that I drop in mailboxes. I resell microwave meals. On some meals I add something to make them look better, like cheese. So far it's at around £200 a day in revenue. Nobody suspects a thing. Soon someone will come for hygiene inspection, but it'll pass that check without any problems. It's not illegal to operate out of your own kitchen. Should I feel bad? I feel kind of proud to be fair and free as a bird from the 9-to-5 life. I used to bully my disabled brother for years. I know this will get a lot of hate, and yes, I deserve it. I am not looking for any validation or forgiveness. I know I am a piece of human trash. I just need to get this out. I have a brother who is 2 years older than me. He has suffered from a condition since birth that forces him to be in a wheelchair anytime he is out of bed. He cannot use his arms that well either. We used to have a great relationship until I turned 11, and I really started resenting the amount of attention he took from my parents, and how much stress he put them under. I had to constantly help him, change him, feed him. I hated it. There was a few years in his life when he's so mean to my parents, and it really made me resent him more. I realize now that I had no right to judge him, and I will never know how difficult life is for him. I stopped hanging out with him and made more friends at school. I would tell my family all the fun I was having at school during dinner to make him feel bad. I started barely talking to him or acknowledge his presence. He would get frustrated to the point of tears to get my attention. It started escalating 2 years ago when I would purposely turn off the Wi-Fi and unplug the TV every time we had to leave the house, so my brother could do nothing but sit in his wheelchair. I would purposely delete his favorite saved shows on the DVR. I would make fun of his speech, push things just out of his reach. I would act disgusted when I had to change or bathe him. It always made him feel bad, and he would apologize. I made my own brother apologize for taking a dump. What the fuck is wrong with me? But my fucking saint of a brother never told my parents, and he never let me have it. 3 weeks ago, he was trying to talk to me non-stop, and I was just ignoring him. I got annoyed and wheeled him against his wishes to the backyard and placed him under an umbrella and went back inside. I fell asleep and realized I left him out there for 3 hours. When I went to bring him back inside, he was in tears and wouldn't look at me. He was humiliated. I have always felt guilty about how I treated my brother all these years, but my anger towards him overpowered it. But seeing that look on his face affected me in a way that was different from before. I stopped all the bullying after that day. I couldn't even look him in the face. I was so ashamed. Last Sunday my brother told me he was glad I was his brother and friend. I couldn't even respond. I went to my room and cried. I'm fucking crying again typing this all out. When did I become an evil trash human being? Fuck. I'm 17 and he's 19 now. I know there's nothing I can do to make up for the past 6 years. My brother will be returning with my mom from a specialist appointment tonight. I'm going to apologize to him and beg for his forgiveness tonight. I want to start being a fucking decent brother to him again. I am a healthy guy with no issues who chose to bully his only brother for something that wasn't even his fault. I am so ashamed of myself. Update. I wrote up a long-ass apology letter that I wanted to read to my brother. I waited until he got home and got into bed for the night. I knocked on his door and he was so fucking excited that it was me. I couldn't even get through the first few words. I started crying after saying I wanted to say I'm really sorry and just couldn't get through it. I just got into bed with him and laid down next to him. He hugged me really tight and said, "I missed you, buddy." I fucking lost it. I never cried that bad before. He just hugged me for a long time until I calmed down. We didn't talk much. He started crying for a bit too. It was the first time in a long time we just hugged. After half an hour I got up and gave him a kiss and he told me he was so happy. Why didn't I do this earlier? Fuck. I thought I could try apologizing properly again tomorrow. I left him the note to read anyway. I am feeling very hopeful right now, and a lot of pressure in my heart is gone. I swear to God and on my own life I will never treat my brother so badly again. I have been working part-time for the past year and I was saving some money so my brother and my mom could go on a trip to a place he really wanted to go to. But I think I will take my brother myself instead when I turn 18. I also realized that I need to have a relationship with my brother, where I am not just taking care of him. It needs to be like a normal brother relationship. Like going for movies and stuff. It's going to take some time for me to fix the mess I created though. I'm just lucky my brother is amazing. I stole over $20,000 in a very creative way in the 90s. I worked at a fast food chain in the 90s when I was in high school. When I worked there they were in the process of phasing out denominational gift certificates of $5, $10, and $25. The way it worked was if you spent more than half of the certificate, they gave you the cash back. So if you ordered $5.5 worth of food and gave them one of the $10 gift cards, they gave you the $4.5 back in cash. My manager was in charge of destroying all the existing certificates as we transitioned to the more traditional credit card looking gift cards. So my manager said he shredded the certificates like he was supposed to. But one night when I was closing, I found 2 boxes of the gift cards tucked deep in the dry storage room. They were filled with the certificates that were supposed to be shredded. So, I scooped them up, brought them out to the dumpster in trash bags and threw them away. After we closed, I came back and recovered the bag and brought the certificates home. I counted them. There were $1,025, $1,010, and $505 certificates. None of them had expiration dates. Total haul was $40,000 in fast food certificates. My manager never said a word. He couldn't. He had reported them destroyed weeks earlier. Over the next 3 years, my girlfriend and I toured every location in our state, and the next 4 states ordering food and getting the change. We never kept track on a spreadsheet or anything, but we got good at knowing what menu items were just about half. After the first year, we started saving the change in a shoe box and let it build up. I bought my first car for $7,800 cash from the change, and for some reason a kitty cone was $1.05. If you gave them a $5 set, they gave you $3.95 back. We threw away a lot of kitty cones. Update. We could hit 10-12 stores in a day if we drove around for 5-6 hours. Both of us would use a gift certificate. It was not that labor intensive. The only cameras in the store were at the cash registers and takeout window. The manager has no clue who took them, or at least never treated me differently. I killed an elderly man in front of his wife and basically his entire family. I haven't talked about this to anyone even though it's been years. Even my closest of friends, minus the ones that were there. One night when I was in college, I was driving to get some liquor for a party my fraternity was supposed to throw the following night. I was taking a street I was very familiar with to get back to my house. It was dark, but the street was lit with street lamps. I remember that I looked at my radio for a second, just a second, not very long at all. But when I looked back up to the road, there was a man crossing. I didn't have any time to react. By the time I saw him, he had already hit the hood of my car and bounced off the side. I remember screaming and hitting the brakes, and the wash of horror of what had just happened. I'll admit I had thought about speeding away, but I pulled over to the side and ran out of my car to check on this guy. When I got to him, his family was standing outside the restaurant he was leaving and they were all screaming and crying. He is laying on the side of the road with blood coming out his nose and mouth. 2 other men were standing with him trying to see if he was alright and calling 911. All I could say was I didn't see him. I was frantic by the time it had set in what I had done. I sat on the curb across from the family and listened to their crying in agony while we waited for the paramedics to arrive. I sat there and sobbed while 2 paramedics took him away in an ambulance. I don't believe I've ever cried so hard and for so long. The worst part about all of it, and what still kills me today, was that his wife came over to me while I was distraught on that curb, sat next to me, placed her hand on my shoulder, and said I was married to him for almost 50 years. We had a good life. Then she hugged me and said that she forgave me. After everything was said and done, it was ruled that it was an accident. I wasn't charged with anything, and I had one of my friends pick me up from the police station. I went down a dark path the years after that. I drank heavily, dropped out of college in my senior year, and had to move back in with my mother and father because I couldn't hold on to a job. Even tried to kill myself with pills. It was a hard road to recovery, which I feel I'm not fully recovered from, nor do I feel I ever will be the same. But eventually I got my life back in order, joined up with the Navy and saw a bit of the world, and now I'm on track to go back to college and hopefully finish what I started there. It took almost a decade, but I finally start to feel almost whole again. I'm back to hanging with my friends and actually going out. So maybe there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Subscribe now for more.